from an empty cup. You can't drink from an empty cup. And man, motivation is an inside job. So I want to talk to you about all next week and today, how to keep your life on fire. Don't burn out. So let's get it on like donkey.
Preview.
Todd is not only a remarkable, successful 30-year titan in business with having multiple businesses that generate multiplied millions of dollars.
And if that plan happens to be to build $1 million company, which I can help you do.
But he's humble. He's a man of God. He's a family man.
The world's news organizations are built on everything but positivity.
He is an influential entrepreneur and business speaker for over 30 years.
I've got to forecast. I've got to pronounce. I've got to project. I've got to share with you my ideas, my vision, my goals for not only myself, but for you.
That's why he's came up with his incredible concept of taking and creating a platform for people that are wired differently.
And you got to understand that your habits of your person and your habits of your business and your habits of your spirituality have to lead to the North Star of who you are. We need to figure out who we want to be in life.
Good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are. I got to tell you, it's a Friday, and I got my casual shirt on today. I just don't feel pressure. Like Monday through Thursday, I feel pressure to kick ass for you guys. I'm just telling you, I do. And I feel pressure all the time to kick some A with you. But on a Friday, I'm like, I got to give you the vibes of Friday. I got to give you the vibes of like, I don't want to say I don't care. I just want you to say that I don't dare not have a casual, feel-good, confident day for you, because that's what this is about. I mean, we should be so comfortable, so challenged, so prepared, so engaged that we just kind of move through life in God's will. And that we should be able to feel confident in most things, especially our craft, to be able to talk to people, to be able to engage, to be able to enjoy ourselves. I mean, isn't that what this is all about? I mean, I'm not going to tell you I'm perfect. I can't start telling you that now because I've been telling on myself for about 2 years on this live show. My wife says, why are you always telling yourself? Well, because there's a lot of things to tell on me about, because I'm you, right? I'm wired differently. I am a misfit. I am not of this world, but I'm walking around on this world as an earthling. We have these sinful natures about us. We cannot be, I don't know very few people that are like perfect, seemingly perfect anyways, all or most of the time. And so I just want you to know, man, it is really on like Donkey Kong. And you say, well, what is Donkey Kong? What is on like Donkey? Why do you always say that? It's funny because I spoke at IMG Academy 2 nights ago now. And it was, matter of fact, it's on the cover. Let's see what we got here. It's on the cover. Yeah, there we are. It's on the cover. I spoke there, about 80 students that go to high school at IMG Academy, and a lot of them had left. The coach called them back and said, we got to get a picture. So all these kids come pouring back into the building to get a picture. And it was just an amazing night. And the irony of it is that this coach is an amazing man. And he's Butch Morley. He's a great guy. I met him several years ago. And he's so complimentary, and he's leading these kids to Christ. He's leading these athletes into their professional careers, college and professional, many of them professional careers, because they come from all over to be elite athletes and learn elite training skills in their athletics and in their school. And so it's a great hybrid of athletics and education. But Butch has been doing spiritual education and coaching soccer forever. Just an amazing dude. I got to tell you, he is going to be on our podcast. You guys aren't going to believe this man and his ministry, John 3:16, right? How we get to heaven. God loved us so much that he gave his son to us and died on the cross to believe in his resurrection. And this is his ministry, J316, and Wired Differently sponsors his events, sponsors these amazing soccer balls. So anyways, here's what I was saying. So Butch Morley is a super cool dude. And when I walked up to him the other day, he says, it's on like Donkey Kong. And I'm like, Butch, he goes, I watch your shows. I said, well, I never see you comment. He goes, a lot of people watch and don't comment. I said, yeah, I understand. I understand. He says, oh, Donkey Kong. And he's like I don't know, Butch. I know you're pushing 70, and he is fire, man. He embodies this entire message I'm going to talk to you about on Friday today, how to keep your life on fire, right? And so I'm going to break that down in these five. But Butch is saying on like Donkey Kong. I'm saying on like Donkey. Well, what is on like Donkey Kong? Well, I'm going to tell you this morning, Friday morning, I'm going to tell you what it on like Donkey Kong means. Well, here's what it means. It means life is on, right? It's on like Donkey Kong. I say Donkey Kong because it kind of rhymes, and I just want it to be a catchphrase, but I want you to know that your life is on. You can't turn it off, right? Like you get up in the morning, you go through your rituals, your habits, or whatever you're doing, what you don't know, you do, doing what you're doing. I want you to understand it is on like Donkey Kong. You can't stop it, right? Life is on like Donkey Kong. And so I just want to share with you this idea of how we're doing it. And Butch fires me up. He talks to me. He says, it's on like Donkey Kong. It's spreading. We're having a lot of good fun, and it's Friday. So what I'm really going to do is set you up today for next week. We have probably a short lesson today, but I want you to understand you can't pour from an empty cup. You just can't. And I heard that comment several years ago, and it came up to me today. You just can't pour from an empty cup. And I started thinking about that as well. As you can't drink from an empty cup. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't drink from an empty cup. An empty cup is, worthless. And the metaphor here is this: if you were a cup and you were empty, you can't drink from it and you can't pour from it. And so we want to make sure that we understand that quote is not us, and how we're going to prepare ourselves to move through the week, the day, the years, and time to make sure we can be on like Donkey Kong, right? And the other thing I want to talk to you about next week is this idea that motivation is an inside job, right? Inside job. Motivation is an inside job. I want you to understand that we're motivated. The world motivates us, but it's really an inside job. And I think that people ask me if I'm a motivational speaker, and I said, no, I'm Todd Shares. I'm the author of the book, The Brand, The Attitude, and the Disorder. I am a keynote speaker. I'm a speaker. I'm a teacher. I'm a creator, right? I'm a collaborator. I'm a businessman, right? And I'm your coach. I'm America's first functional coach, right? There's no one else in the country that has that moniker of a functional coach. And so why am I talking about life not burning out, but burning up and being on fire? Because that's the personal side of how I want to coach you. The spiritual side I want to coach you is in God, in Christ, and how Butch Morley does it in J316. And then the profitable side is where you get paid for a good personal growth life, and you get paid for a good spiritual growth life because you're going to be profitable. Now, listen, I'm just going to give you one more lesson on profitability, because profitability is just one of those things where it's not always paid dividends in money. I want you to take a load off, Terry, and some of you people out there, because I know some of us out there are just counting up our dollars and our bills, and we're watching all these Grant Cardone videos and other videos saying that they're going to be a billionaire, they're going to be a millionaire. I think you just got to block that out, because I want you to focus on being profitable. And profitable is joyful. Profitable is being joyful in wealth in your relationships, wealth in your business, wealth in your growing income, wealth in your family life, wealth in your recreation life, your nutritional life, your exercise life, your family life. All these things have to be wealthy in those, even in your restful life. I want you to understand that when I say I'm going to make you profitable, if your goal is to be profitable in your business, which it should be, then that result will occur. But what we need to understand is as we prepare to be profitable in our business, because I am a functional business coach, means that I got to train you up in spirituality. I got to train you up in your personal growth. And then the profitable growth will come from the byproducts of those. And I'll train you up in the skills of making money in your business. I mean, it just makes sense. It's less like I've talked to a lot of people and they're like, well, I've just never heard of it that way. Well, you haven't heard it maybe, but you know it's the way it's supposed to be. I'm not just making this stuff up. I mean, God's been talking about it. He talks about it in the Bible: business, spiritual growth, personal. He says it in these and thous, but I mean, it's going on a Friday this morning. It's on like Donkey Kong. Life is on. So now what we say is let it rip, potato chip. Let's get it on like Donkey Kong. Let's learn about it. So what I want to talk to you about today is the verse of the day was Psalms 147:11. And I got it right here. The Lord delights in those who fear him, who put their hope in his unfailing love. Those who fear him and put their hope in his unfailing love. The Lord delights in those who fear him. I'm not going to spend much time on this because I want to get to the topic and get you prepared for next week a little bit. But I want you to understand that the thing that jumps out with me at this verse to take with you today on a Friday is the Lord delights. I just never really, I mean, how does the Lord delight? I mean, does he do the flossy? Does he do the running man? Does he? I mean, I don't know. I mean, he says he delights. He delights in those who what? Fear him. So before we get to the word fear, let's just talk about the Lord delights. Like, I just want you to create an image. I want my cross up. I got this crew. No, it's not a V-neck on, and it keeps dripping in there. But we got wired differently. Show him. But he delights. He takes delight in us because we fear him. Well, I want you to translate that, and I want you to understand he is happy, he delight, he is joyful, right? I think God doesn't really know happiness as much as he knows joyfulness because he sees fruit in all of us who believe in him in John 3:16 and recognize that we're wired differently and that we're misfits. I know he delights in that, and what he delights in that is the fact that we have hope in him, so that we believe in him, we have hope in him, and so us relying on him gives him delight. But he says in this verse, I won't beat this up too much. He says he delights in those who fear him. So I love the verse where it says he delights, but then I'm perplexed by the one that says who fears him. Who fears him? Well, God, come on now, God. Why you got to go out there and scare everybody? Don't you know that we're very sensitive people? We don't want to hurt anybody, and we don't want anyone's feelings to be hurt. I mean, God, why do we have to be such a fear person? Well, what I want you to understand is I don't believe God means fear in that context. And so what I did was that is the NIV New International Version of the Bible. He says, those who fear. And so I thought I would look at some translations to help you understand what God is really meaning by that. The Lord delights in those. The Lord delights in those who fear him. But really, I looked up 5 or 6 different words for that in the New International Version, the King James, the Children's Version, the Messenger, American Bible Standard, the Contemporary English Bible Version. I have there's 100 different Bible versions. You got to understand. And so I looked them up. And so the word fear translates into some of them as those who worship him, in those who worship him, though the Lord delights in those who trust him. The Lord delights in those who treasure him, those who delight in those who revere him, those who delight in who respect him. And so it's this idea of worshiping God, giving our credit to God, loving God, following his word, and not even as much as following his word, but lifting him up on high, making him your number one go-to dude. So basically, we're saying the Lord delights in those who make God his number one go-to dude. If God is your number one go-to dude, God is delighting in you. So that's really what that's saying. So then he says, in the fear in him, a go-to dude who put their hope in his unfailing love. That's the go-to dude. Put the hope in his unfailing love. So I want you to take Psalms 147:11, and I want you to put it in your pocket. I want you to understand that God is delighting in you. And if you fear or in awe of him, or you revere him, or you worship him, and if he's your number one go-to dude because you have hope. And so that brings me to my thought process today. My thought process today was, as I was scrolling and working this morning, I'm just thinking, what can I do different? And what can I start thinking differently? And so this whole series of next week of how to keep your life on fire is going to be bent more towards personal growth. Obviously, we're going to tie spiritual growth in there. We're going to continue to tie business growth in, and we need all these things. So I wanted to set you up this morning. I wanted to encourage you on a Friday. All you followers are picking up a little late here on a Friday. Come on, man. I had a teaser on at 7:10. Like, I'm coming. Like, get ready to rock and roll, right? So I want your life on fire. I don't want your life burning out, right? I don't want you to burn out. I want to talk to you about 5 things to keep your life on fire. These 5 things we're going to talk about all next week on how to harmonize your life, right, with your work life and your spiritual life. And these 5 areas are where we're going to really have to focus on to keep ourselves healthy, happy, profitable, and joyful. But what I want to talk to you is how the setup came to me, right? I want to thank Butch Morley and IMG for having me over there. We did a quick commercial on, these guys had me over there, and I was speaking the other day. It was awesome. Right there, there's going to statistically be an NFL football player, a baseball player, a professional athlete. There's lots of females there. There's lots of athletes everywhere from 6th grade to 12th grade. They were just so in tune. All these kids stayed after for me to sign their books. They stayed till 9 o'clock. This event started at 7. I spoke for 45 minutes. And after it was done, Butch spoke, and then these kids stayed. They literally waited in line to have me sign their books. It was just an amazing thing. I mean, they waited in line. And I'm like, kids, you got school tomorrow. You got to get up early and do your training. And they're like, no, we want to be here. Hey, and if you look here, right here in the back, I don't know if you can see me. The top right corner is Butch. There's Butch, and it's moving me right now as I'm thinking about this. Like, there's Butch, and Butch has his arm on a young man's shoulder, and I'll guarantee you that he is encouraging that guy. I'll guarantee you that he is lifting him up. I guarantee you he is either praying on him or encouraging him or lifting him up. I guarantee you that boy is being blessed right now. That's the kind of guy Butch Morley is. This picture, I had a kid take this picture of me. It was a little awkward, but I didn't have anybody to help me, and I wanted someone to take my picture, and the kid's like, oh, I'll take it. Okay, I'll take it. But, Butch isn't having anybody take pictures of him. Nobody. He doesn't care. That is a driven, godly, spiritual man trying to make a non-for-profit go places to pay for God's witness on this earth, to preach and teach to these children. He doesn't get paid for any of this. Thank you, Butch. You're an amazing man. There's Butch again. More pictures, more signings. Just kind of cool stuff going on. Thank you, Butch. But what I want to talk to you about now, is I'm catching some of you people up. Thank you for the followers this morning, and we're going to kind of let this thing go. Is I want you to understand that the way I came to this topic this morning is I was scrolling through the other night, and I was thinking about some things, and it was kind of dark. But I was recalling a movie for some reason as a little boy called The Blue Lagoon. I don't know if you remember it. It's the 1980s. Most of you probably don't remember it, but it was a Brooke Shield movie. It was a cutting edge movie. These kids got out on a shipwreck with their parents or their uncle or something like that. And it was in the olden days, and the wooden ship caught on fire and started to burn. And an older dude who was taking care of these 2, 5 and 6-year-old cousins threw them in a boat. And then they floated to an island. And it's funny because I'm tooling through inventory and stranded on a deserted island. And here they are, not a movie about Wilson and Tom Hanks, but this is a movie about Brooke Shields and another kid and another actor way back in 1980. And they're stranded on a deserted island. And the old dude lives there for a while, then he dies somehow of some type of heart. Who knows? He was old. But these kids grow from 5 and 6 years old to 14, 13, and 14 years old, and they grow together on a deserted island with no other adults around them. They knew how to fish and make forts and all that kind of stuff and survive. Interesting, right? Their inventory. But that's not really where I'm going from the business teaching perspective. It's this idea that as they grew older, they grew together as a family. They grew together in rest and nutrition and exercise and family and recreation and all that kind of stuff that we're going to talk about next week. But the dark side of this movie is that they get older, they're almost hopeless. They have a version of God in their head. They have a God statue on the island where the young lady gets sick, and he begs her partner, her friend, the boy, to carry her to this idol to heal her. The movie didn't preach Jesus, but he did carry her to the idol, and she was sick and she was healed. So it's one of the trials that they go through, but ultimately the old man dies. They have a child. The child eats some forbidden berries, and they're just so distressed over it that the child is dead. They try to revive the child. Actually, they're out in a boat trying to find a way off the island. The child eats the berries that somehow got on the boat, and the child flops over dead. The young lady and the man, they start to think, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? How can we? They can't revive him. They're just still young kids. They don't understand what's going on. And so they've been out there floating around for 5 or 6 days. They lost their little 2-year-old, 1-year-old child, and they're just miserable. They're hopeless. They have no hope. The boat is floating around. The air is hot. The water's salty. They're out of food. They're hopeless. Their child is dead. They're hopeless. And here's where it kind of gets a little mushy for me, is because I remember their hopelessness in their childlessness, their foodlessness, their recreationlessness, their familylessness, their nutritionlessness, their restlessness, right? These are the 5 territories we're going to talk about this next week. They then take the berries that their child ate that died. In their hopelessness. And they eat the berries at the same time. In their hopelessness. In their childlessness. In their godlessness. In their joyfulness. So the story is disturbing. They die. They're floating around in this boat. 2 young adults, a baby who ate berries, metaphorically, or forbidden fruit, maybe. I don't know. Don't really care. Ultimately, a boat comes along, sees the wooden rowboat floating meaninglessly in the ocean. Someone sees the bodies in the boat. They pull the boat. They pull the people out of the boat. They bring them onto the bigger wooden ship. And as how it has it, the movie ends. You see, the old man, when he was raising these 2 young adults on the island when they were younger, told them never to eat the fruit, never eat the berries, because it will kill you. But it turns out that the old man was actually wrong. he didn't really know exactly the extent of the story or what the berries would do, but he knew that they were probably dangerous, and he knew that they probably weren't good for the kids, and he knew that they should stay away from that forbidden fruit because he knew that it couldn't be good for them, and he didn't want it to risk them being deadly or sickly or hopelessly in his training up years. So he took the cautious route and said, never eat these berries, they will kill you. So as a little kid, they grow up and they're 14, 15, they have a child, they're floating on a boat, their baby eats the berries, the baby's dead, they eat the berries because they're hopeless in the boat, and they take their own lives floating around a boat aimlessly until someone picks them up, pulls them on the boat, and takes care of them, gives them water, realizes that they're not really dead, and resuscitates them because now they are just sleeping berries. They weren't deadly berries. They were dangerous berries. They just basically made you ill enough to go to sleep, but you came through it. So the movie ends happily ever after. I love happily ever afters. I really do. I actually love love stories. The greatest love story ever told. Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Clearly the greatest love story ever told on the planet Earth, in the world. No joke. I'm not even smiling. Great love story. But this movie, because I think about you, I think about the people I'm coaching, I think about, unfortunately, I don't have very many people coming to me and saying, hey, will you coach me? I'm really happy. I'm really successful. I really got it all figured out. And I was just thinking, if you could make me a little bit better, I would even be more joyful, more happy, more successful. And maybe it'll last forever. No, they don't come to me like that. In most cases, they come broken. In most cases, they come hopeless. In most cases, they come defeated. In most cases, they come to me depressed. So as happy as I am to talk to you this Friday morning about Friday, I want you to know I am available. Coaches are available. There's lots of coaches out there. No Super Bowl champion has had less than 6 coaches in their life, I guarantee you, in that regard. They're out there. But coaches like me are not called upon until you're broke. They're not called upon until you're ready to take the berry. You see what I'm trying to say? Until you're ready and you just don't have hope, until you just don't have joy, until you're not delighting in the Lord because you're not in awe of him, because you're not honoring his unfailing love for you. You see what I'm trying to say? The berry is a very dangerous temptation, because when we go through life and we lose hope and we don't have joy and we see no other way out, it's just kind of like this proverbial berry that drives us to depression or low hopelessness. And so what I just want to parlay with you to is that I want to build your life for fire. I want you to understand that if you're meandering around and you're wondering where, you had a call from an amazing man out of California just yesterday, and he's kicking some ass. I mean, he's really dialing it in. He got removed from an organization a while back that had him doing some really big things, and brilliant man, and decided, I'm not going back to work for the man. I'm going to create a business, and I'm going to create this. I'm going to do all these things. And all of a sudden he's taking off, and he's got things going everywhere. And his wife's doing some other things, and they've patched their life back together. And I believe they're very successful in the money. But what drove him to that, and what drove these other students that I'm actually moving their life spiritually, personally, and properly through with 100% success, is defeatedness, hopelessness, lack of spiritualityness, maybe even depression. And so I just don't want you to get there. I don't want you to need me. I want you to want me. I don't want you to need a coach. I want you to want a coach, right? I want you to understand, if you're going to get a coach, I want you to get a functional business coach like me, someone that can take in all of your needs, your personal needs, your spiritual needs, and your business needs. Because if you don't have all three, you're going to fail. You're either going to fail right away, you're going to fail in a little bit, or you're going to fail over long term because you're not nurturing the entire process. I want you to understand that I don't want you to get to the berry. And so I do these shows every morning without fail, certainly Monday through Thursdays. I'm going to have fun on Fridays. We're going to be building a whole new podcast out. It's going to be amazing. We're going to do one highly produced podcast. I'm going to try and get some really, really amazing guests on here, which I know we've got several lined up already, which is exciting. You know, we've already done Sebastian Gorka and Larry Elder. We got so many other things that are coming our way. We're building a mastermind where you and like-minded people that are wired differently can gather once a month, grow spiritually, personally, and profitably. We're going to be building ourselves together. We're going to be feeding off of our own worldly champion crafts. We're going to be supporting each other in the family mentality. We're going to be talking to each other about even spiritual nutrition. It's going to be amazing. Less than 90-minute mastermind. And I want you guys to think about joining that mastermind. It's going to grow. You know, it's going to grow. You're going to get a lot of tools to be in that mastermind. You get me every morning at no cost. I'm going to be staying afterwards and answering some questions on Fridays and interactive teaching every morning. What coach in America will be willing to be a live interactive coach with you every morning to start your day off with? I want to be that guy. I want to prevent the berry. I do not want you to have hopelessness. I do not want you to be floating around in a boat wondering, how the hell am I going to live through this life? I don't want you to get there. Honestly, I don't want you to really need me. I want you to want me. I want you to want to be better. I want you to come to me with things that we can work on to make you better. I don't want to be digging you out of a ditch. Come on now, somebody. I don't want to be having to resuscitate you and doing CPR and mouth to mouth and all that kind of stuff to bring you back alive. I don't want to be doing that. That's not what I'm here for that. But I just do not want you to get to the berry. All that to say, I thought we would go short, and we have done it again. We have found a way to go long. I love my job. I love what I'm doing. I'm super excited about what's going on in our lives. I want to talk to you about not burning up. I want to talk to you about not burning out. I want to talk to you about living. I want to talk to you about being on fire for life. I want to talk to you about being on fire for your family, being on fire for your company, being on fire for everything around you. I want you to be on fire for God. I want you to understand that the Lord delights in those who fear him, respect him, and worship him, right? The Lord wants us to put hope in his unfailing love for you, right? I do not want you to take the berry. I do not want you to be in a position to be hopeless. It's all next week. We're going to be talking about these 5 topics, so get ready to get it on like Donkey Kong. I need you to be on fire in your life. We're going to talk about nutrition. We're going to talk about rest. We're going to talk about exercise. We're going to talk about family, and then we're going to talk about recreation. We're going to take these 5 pieces. We're going to figure out where God fits in those. We're going to figure out where they fit in your life. We're going to figure out how to make you better spiritually, personally, and profitably. Have I told you I love my job? I got a special offer coming up with you so you can be with me and the rest of the Wire Differently team of misfits once a month in the mastermind. It's very, very, very easy. It's a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about it next week. We're going to be talking about how we can do life together. I want you to join this mindset, this mission, this movement, and this ministry because it's on like Donkey Kong. God bless you guys. I can't wait.